Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media.
It's Kerry Jackson, you're the conservative. Yes, y'all. It's a talk show, and I want everybody to call and say what's on your mind. Do you honestly believe that an elected official or a police chief can stop people who are criminals from being criminals? The government's checkbook is not going to solve the problems that we have. We are never going to get anywhere until you decide that you individually care enough about your community to do something about it.
910 AM Superstation. We're the hottest station in town.
Good morning, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, the Urban Conservative. How are you this morning? Time now is 6 o'clock in the morning. If you've got to be there by 7 o'clock, you have 1 hour to get there. Listening to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600. It's 313-778-7600. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We hear that slogan all of the time. I have absolutely no idea what it really means. Why is May Mental Health Awareness Month as opposed to August or September or November? I don't know. But I know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we need to at least spend a little bit of time, which will probably wind up turning into more time down the road, talking about mental health, especially as it impacts members of our community. With all of the problems that we have to deal with, from anxiety disorders, alcoholism, everybody being attached to drugs and or alcohol or other illegal substances. We've got a lot of things to stress members of our community. And so I thought that we would bring someone on today to talk about mental health in our community. What exactly is mental health? What should we be on the lookout for? When should we decide that we need to go get help? So I brought on a young lady this morning, and I see that she's on the line and she's ready. Good morning, Sherry Posey. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Kerry. Wonderful. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you for being on in early. Listen, Sherry, I invite people on all of the time. And sometimes they show up because the show is from 6 to 7 in the morning. Sometimes they show up on time. Many times they'll show up late. I can't tell you the number of times I'll get a text message at 7:30 or 8 o'clock after the guest forgot to call in and say, oh, I overslept. Can I call in now? Well, the show is over at 7 o'clock, so that's usually a little too late. So whenever any of the guests make it up and they're on at 6 o'clock in the morning, I really appreciate you for getting up this early. I know that it's a stretch, but we got to start people off on their mornings. So tell us, first of all, before everybody starts texting and saying, well, who is she and what she qualified for? Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience, and then we'll start talking about mental health awareness.
Sure. Again, my name is Sherry Posey. I am a licensed professional counselor here in the city of Detroit, born and raised. I have a private practice with 3 other therapists that work with me, one of them being my niece. Let's see, I have been in this field for about 13 years as far as actually doing counseling, but in the human service field for probably almost 25 years. The name of my agency is Rising Phoenix Counseling Associates. We're located in Southfield, Michigan. We service everyone, both people with insurance and without. We do accept Medicaid. This mental health field is a passion for me, especially in my own community. We see so many people with mental health issues. And
so do me a favor, let's start right there. When we say folks with mental health issues, I mean, other than, let me just say this. It's always been my experience that every family has a family member, one or two, that have some issues that sets them apart from other people, that makes them a little bit different. How should the people who are listening, who can hear your voice today, how will they know whether or not their loved one, the one that doesn't have the same exact behavior as they have, the one that seems a little different, a little odd, or I know we're not supposed to use the word, family members who've labeled their family member as a little bit crazy. What are the signs that they should be looking for? When should they actually say, you know what, we need to go get this person some help?
Well, when you have that feeling, actually, we kind of know it. You're right. We always, in the African American community, kind of had a taboo when it comes to mental health. We consider it taboo. We have that family member, Uncle George, who's in the back room, and when the kids are around, they say, don't go in there with Uncle George. Or we'll say things like, that person is special, or we'll call them crazy. What behaviors they show are different depending on what the disorder. For example, we have people who suffer from anxiety and depression, and then we have other family members who may suffer from something like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. I can go into more detail about each, but it really means when you notice that your loved one is not responding to situations in a quote unquote normal way. For example, with depression, if someone remains in a depressed mood without a precipitating event, in other words, without something happening like loss of a loved one, job, home, or career, and they remain in this kind of mood for more than maybe 3 to 4 weeks, they are definitely probably suffering from depression. At that time, it's good to help them seek help. Speak to a counselor, some type of therapist, to find out exactly what's going on and get them help. Because our mental health in our community is really declining. We have seen such a sharp decline since COVID. Suicide rates in the African American community increased almost 33% just in these last few years.
Do we know why?
Well, COVID was one of the reasons. COVID, not just the disease itself, but the factors that happen because of it, the things that happen. For example, isolation. In my practice, I am seeing so many young people from 11 to 30 who are experiencing suicidal ideation after going through such a time of isolation, loss of life, gloom and doom every time you turn on the television. Those kinds of things seem to have precipitated this increase in suicidal ideation. It's really an increase in depression and anxiety and them not knowing how to handle it.
So you just tapped on, and I don't want to just pass over it. You just said gloom and doom every time you turn on the television. I'm a news junkie. I watch the news all of the time. But I have noticed that there's been a change from reporting what was going on in politics, or maybe one or two, lead off with 1 or 2 crimes in the community when I was younger, to basically now we're on this 24-hour news cycle and everybody wants to talk about whatever the bad events are that have happened. They talk about them all day, every day. How often do you find people in the community that basically, those that come into your practice who, whether they themselves have depression or anxiety or any other stuff, that, part of they simply have been scared by society, by the media, by watching the news, They simply have a distorted view of what life really is like because of what they've seen on TV every day.
That's a good question, Jerry. We see a lot of people coming in here. Quite a few young people are now immobilized by fear. We have children afraid they're going to get killed in their classrooms. We have, for example, we just had the shooting in Allen, Texas, where so many people lost their lives. We keep hearing these things over and over again, these tragedies. And you would be surprised how many people come in as far as young people because they are connected all the time. I think our whole society, nobody takes a break. You are a new self-reported news junkie, but it appears you're able to, for whatever reason, filter through it. Maybe it's because of what you do for a living. You're able to filter through the.
I don't sit up right.
But I won't say that.
It's AM radio. You can say it. If you say something bad, we'll beep it. But that's part of what I have to do. And let's go with foolishness. I'm able to filter out stuff and determine, listen, y'all are not going to scare me by telling me that, oh my God, 3 days from now, we're going to be invaded with 1 million people that are going to come over from Mexico. We've had that same border as long as this country has been here. Mexico's been where they are. They didn't just land there 7 years ago. This is not all brand new. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It's not the Democrats or the Republicans' fault. And so I'm able to sit there and watch it and say, yeah, okay, I'm glad y'all is telling the news, but you're scaring people. And, unfortunately, the rise in school shootings has been, the more that it gets reported, the more school shootings happen. You're scaring people. All of the stuff that we talked about for the last month on this show, it basically is all results of folks being scared. And so the more you scare them, and then police officers, every single time they shoot somebody, oh my God, I was scared. They're so scared they can't do their jobs. You're walking around. We've created it. So now what do we do about it? How do we get to a point that, do we refer everybody that we know to come see you? Or is there a way to try and put things in perspective so that people can go about their lives every single day and try to be whatever the heck normal is?
That is a difficult question to answer, but I'll do my best.
And let me just tell you this. You got a whole minute to do it before we wind up going to break.
Okay. Start by sometimes shutting off the television, taking a break from social media. That would be the number one key, I'd say, in this minute. Sometimes you have to step away from the madness. If you are consumed with it, you need to pull back sometimes and just take a chance and get away from it to revive yourself. I love to travel, so that's the way I do it. I step away, and when I'm on vacation, I am on vacation, and I leave all of that behind me. You gotta find a way to step away.
A way to step away and take a vacation. My biggest problem in life. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. It's Carrie Leon Jackson, Urban Conservative. We're talking with Sherry Posey of Rising Phoenix Counseling Services because May is Mental Health Awareness Day. When we come back on the other side of the break, first of all, really, really quick, what's the number to Rising Phoenix Counseling Services?
It is area code 313-293-7460.
313-293-7460. 313-293-7460. When we come back on the other side of the break, we got to take the first break of the morning. When we come back on the other side of our break, we're going to start answering some of these phone calls and let folks try to talk to Ms. Posey from Rising Phoenix Counseling Service. It's a very quick break. We'll be right back.
WADL gets a facelift and is now My 38 Detroit. Along with a facelift comes new programming. On Mondays at 8 p.m., catch a 2-hour block of Law and Order SVU. Tuesdays, Chicago Fire. Wednesdays, Dateline. More Dateline and Chicago PD on Thursdays and on Fridays. You'll get more Chicago PD to start your weekend. We'll still have some of your favorite shows like Mom, Blackish, and Friends. Just adding more for you to enjoy on My 38. The Word Network has been broadcasting inspirational messages around the world since the year 2000, and we keep getting bigger and better and more innovative. Seen all around the world, we bring you the best teaching, impartation, singing, and inspiration. If you want original programming, we have that too. The Word Network is your exclusive source for all things inspiration, and we can be found on every device imaginable. If you want to be uplifted and inspired, you need the Word Network.
My 38 is offering a great special that cannot be refused. Are you looking for a great deal on TV advertising? Are you searching for an avenue to get your business name out to the public? With My 38, we are offering a great special with 100 commercial ads for a great price. This offer is for a 30-day ad placement. Please contact Devin C. for more information at 248-357-4566 or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads. Have you thought about a ministry program on the 910 AM Superstation? Want to expand your personal ministry or broadcast part of your service? We have prime radio time available now to expand your ministry. Call us and ask for Henry, 248-357-4566. Tell the story of your church. Tell the old story on 910 The AM Superstation. Call Henry at 248-357-4566. A modest investment is requested. The all-new 910 Superstation is your number one source for urban talk radio. If you're looking for the best in radio programming, look no further. You can now listen in on a multitude of audio platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Listen Notes, and coming soon to Amazon Music, Good Pods, and Overcast. 910 AM Superstation, the largest, strongest, 50,000-watt urban radio station in town. 910 AM Superstation has the greatest advertising deal ever with our Godfather package. 100 spots for $600 with a must-air within 30-day policy, and we will even produce the spots free. That's right, free. Call Devin C. now at 248-357-4566. That's 248-357-4566. Or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry Leon Jackson, the Urban Conservative. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This morning, we've been gracious enough we've got a guest on from Rising Phoenix Counseling Services by the name of Sherry Posey, and we're talking about mental health in our community. 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. It's starting to take some of these callers because these folks have been on hold for a little while. Let's go to Dorian. Good morning, Dorian. How are you?
Good morning, Kerry. Thanks for taking my call. Good morning, Mrs. Posey.
Hi, Dorian. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have a question, though. As a psychiatrist, have you ever examined a brain?
Well, first of all, I'm not a psychiatrist.
Tell us what's the difference between a counselor, a psychiatrist, and a psychologist.
Sure. All right. So a psychiatrist is a medical doctor. They've gone to medical school. They treat clients with major mental health issues, typically, like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. They are the ones who prescribe the actual medication and monitor these clients.
Well, the reason I asked.
Hold on a second, Dorian. Hold on. Go ahead. And a psychologist and then a counselor.
Right. Psychologists do two things. Some are counseling mental health disorders, IQ, various things, but some do therapy as well. Counselors, that's what we do. It's in the name. Licensed professional counselors, we do therapy.
Well, the reason I asked that question is everyone is focusing on mental health. Mental is thinking, correct?
Mental is what?
Is thinking. It's actual cognitive thinking. Mental.
It's not just that. See, mental health and physical health are connected.
So the reason I asked
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The reason I asked the question is maybe it's the issue is brain health. It's not only it's I've seen this at least 3 psychiatrists, right? And not one time that they've ever given me a CAT scan to actually look at my brain, because my brain could be injured. When I go see a cardiologist, she doesn't predict, oh, you're going to have heart disease or you're going to have a heart attack. She actually looks at the brain. A gastroenterologist looks at your stomach. Your brain.
Dorian, you know what has to happen in order for them to actually take your brain apart and examine your brain?
Well, I know about a lobotomy, but you can give a CAT scan. How do you think they find out about CT? You have a lot of people who have minor injuries. When you hit your head on a cabinet, getting in the car, all of these.
Now, brother, the way that they're able to confirm that you have CTE is you're dead, and they cut your brain apart and examine where the rings are inside your brain. That can't happen until you're dead.
They have other tests. They can look at your brain and see if it's been injured, if you have scars on your brain.
So the question that you're trying to get at is, should a counselor be doing brain health, or is a counselor's job to try to narrow down and give those people who are alive and asking for help some sort of coping mechanisms to try and figure out how to deal with their own individual issues?
I'm not dismissing any of that. I'm just saying, as an organ, once we get to the root of the issue, maybe it's something you're eating. You know, there's a study that says you eat too much mercury that can cause depression. You know,
so Dorian. So let me just say this. There are multiple causes of mental health disorders, and there are different types of mental health disorders. All qualified therapists, whether you're a psychologist, social worker, or licensed professional counselor, we do ask about those things. We check into what's your diet like, what's your family history, what kind of things you may have been exposed to. You are partly correct when you say that it has an effect with the brain. Sometimes it is brain chemistry that affects our mental health. We don't have to scan to the brain to see that. Sometimes it's because the brain is responsible for the production of hormones like serotonin and dopamine and these other chemicals in our brain that regulate our mood. We can tell often that those chemicals are low. In other words, your brain does not produce enough. So we send our clients for also medication regulation. We work in conjunction with psychiatrists as far as that goes. And I'm not a psychiatrist. I didn't go to med school. So I can't tell you why they don't do certain things.
But let me hold on a second. So what you're saying, hold on, Dorian. So what you're saying is when the client first comes to see you, when you have an opportunity to interview them and find out all about their background, you then figure out, after talking to him, when he tells you what's going on in his life, what the individual issues are, you're able to then make a referral and call his psychiatrist or psychologist and say, let me tell you what he told me. This is what I think, but I want you to check him out. Is that it? You operate more as a screening service in order to decide to say, what he's dealing with is a little bit heavier than what I'm able to cover. We need to elevate him and send him to see a psychiatrist.
No, not quite. We still treat them. I am the person who does the psychotherapy. I am the person who walks with them weekly or bi-weekly sometimes. I'm the person who helps them process the changes, to develop a plan to change their lives.
You said develop a plan to change their life. What if they don't want to change their life?
That is up to them. If you don't want it, there's nothing I can do.
If the family members think that they need to change their lives, if the family members who referred them said, listen, what he's doing it's weird, it's crazy, this is not normal behavior, but the individual person says, yeah, I'm fine. I only came here because my family wanted me to come see you. I mean, do you stop at that point in time, or do you still try to counsel them to try and figure out whether or not what they're doing it needs help? Or do you just say, oh, thanks for coming, go on about your life, go back to your family to mind their own business?
No, we don't do that. The goal is to develop a relationship with the client, to get them to trust me, and so I can be of benefit to their lives.
All right, Dorian, we're gonna have to move on to the next call because this list of callers is getting pretty long. All right, thanks for calling, Dorian. Let's go to Miss Leona. Good morning, Miss Leona. How are you?
Fine. Good morning to you and your guests. I have a question. How are you getting your patient as your family doctor recommend the patient to you?
Who refers the clients to you?
Oh, good question. Oftentimes it's word of mouth. I do have relationships with doctors, other therapists. I'm also on Psychology Today's website and a couple other therapist websites, including the Michigan Mental Health Association website. If you Google my name, I come up.
But before we go to break again, I want to make sure. Did she answer your question, Miss Leona?
Yes, she did. So thank you both. I'll get out the line. Let someone else come on.
Thank you, Miss Leona. Before we go to break again, we're talking to Sherry Posey, a licensed counselor from Rising Phoenix Counseling Associates. Her number is area code 313-293-7460. 313-293-7460. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we're not going to be, I see how many of you are on the line, and we're going to do what we can to get to as many callers as we can. But let me just tell you, well, let's do this. Let's knock out the second break of the morning. It's a very quick break. It's only 3 minutes. And when we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about those signs you should be looking for, either for yourself or your family members, to know when you need to go find a licensed registered counselor. 313-778-7600. We're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
Did you know most vitamin supplements don't even come from food? Even the products with colorful fruits and vegetables adorning the labels are seldom derived from produce. Typically, supplements are synthetic, made in a laboratory. Modern science may synthetically imitate these chemicals, but your body isn't fooled. It knows the difference, and it craves quality materials to build, repair, and fight illness. You need to consume fruits and vegetables daily in a variety of colors, as well as whole grains and other fresh food. That's why I formulated Balance of Nature. I wanted to be able to give my patients a natural alternative to the cheap, unnatural chemistry by giving them real fruits and vegetables. In fact, the only ingredients inside a Balance of Nature are whole fruits and vegetables. Don't settle for imitation nutrition. Reach for the good stuff, the real stuff.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. Get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code RADIO5.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who've agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
Balance of Nature is fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I had no energy for months and months and months. I had no energy, and I'm a very active person. And my husband was noticing that I was tired all the time, and I was slow at everything that I was doing. And I kept listening to the commercials, and you don't know if something's going to help you or not. But I decided this was something I was going to do. And lo and behold, in about 4 days to taking them, I was repotting plants. I was doing other things. My husband said to me, "You seem to have more energy." And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." And I'm telling you, nothing has ever made such a difference. So anyway, I'm very happy.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code RADIO5.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. This morning, we're talking with Sherry Posey, licensed counselor from Rising Phoenix Counseling and Associates. Her number is area code 313-293-7460, 313-293-7460. And let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Jerry. Good morning, Jerry. How are you this morning?
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. And good morning to your counselor, Ms. Sherry Posey. Good morning to you, ma'am, and thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Good morning.
Good morning to you, ma'am. My question to you, and before the question, I want to say what former Michigan Governor Jan Engler did over 3 decades ago when he closed or shut down or eliminated the mental health clinic in the state of Michigan was a big mistake. If you remember, Counselor and Dr. Jackson, Jan Engler, he did a big mistake, and God forgive him for what he did. So my point is, in three, my question, the first one, Counselor, is mental health disease considered like hereditary sometimes, run in the family? My second point is to be treated, will be treated by medication or by radiation. The reason I said that, because my sister, God bless her soul, she was treated by radiation, and she ended up with a cancer, a tumor in her brain, and she died because of that. So I would love to hear your answer, Counselor. I appreciate it. And thank you very much. And thank you to you, Dr. Jackson, for bringing this very important topic. Mental health disease become one of the most dangerous disease in the country. God bless you, and I will listen to you.
So let's start at the easy one. Is mental having a mental disease or defect, is it hereditary? If I'm crazy, does that mean that my cousins are going to be crazy as well?
I certainly hope not, because we don't want to use the term crazy. But there are sometimes some genetic tendencies for it. We do see that it does sometimes run in family for depression and anxiety, and sometimes diseases like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Jerry, you were right. I agree with you 100% about what happened in 1992, and there not being enough mental health facilities and changes and research. You know, the city of Detroit Lafayette Clinic, for example, was one of the premier
mental health care facilities at the time.
I'm sorry, Sherry.
You meant to say mental. I thought you was having a brain freeze. It was a premier mental health facility at the time. But the one thing that we've argued about over and over again on this show is physically what the state was paying for and why the decision was made, because you, as many other people know, that I had a little bit more insight into that. And it was something that had to happen. And the one thing that I've really had to hammer to this audience over and over again is you can't blame John Engler for the problems of the other 49 states. And the fact that mental health has been on the rise in every other community, and that we police departments and sheriff departments have been overwhelmed with folks in the jails and everything that used to be folks that used to go to a mental health institution. It's not John Engler's fault. And we've had 3 different governors since John Engler was there. Well, not one of them has taken a step yet to say, oops, you know what? Let's fix it. Let's undo what was done in 1991 and 1992. So just to continue to hit that, beat that dead horse over and over again, I think it's crazy. It's time to actually say it's time to do something other than sit around and whine about what John Engler did in 1991.
I agree with you there, Terry, that mental health has not been taken as seriously as it should be in any of our states, 100%. But the fact remains, we don't have enough places for our family members.
I agree with you on that. Well, I can give you, we don't have it now, but I also think that, you know, maybe if we got up today and put some sort of energy and attention into, let's solve the problem instead of whining about what happened in 91 and 92, we might get a little bit further than where we are right now.
I agree. And I'm involved with different lobbyists kind of thing, trying to get some changes and to get more facilities. As far as the question about the radiation therapy, Gary, I can't speak to that, and I'm sorry. I'm not exactly sure of what you're talking about, so I don't want to give you any misinformation.
Thank you. Let's gotta knock out some more of these callers. Let's go to Fidel. Good morning, Fidel.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. What's on your mind?
I got a quick question for the young lady. Do you think that the adults, some of the adults, or some of the situations, create the mental illness? Meaning that we was taught wrong, what you thought was right in the 70s or 80s, come to find a lie, and we continue to do it. Even with England, you know what I mean? Even with what Terry just said, even with vote, they won't have, even with the law. When you talk about black people, just black people alone,
a lot of black people, a lot of kids, become to have kids, have taught their own kids wrong. So the question is, can mental illness be taught? Is it disrespect, no home training, the parents buy the games, the alcohol, the drugs, and the kids exposed to it? Do we create the mental illness and then we complain about it? I guess that's my question to you.
Thanks, Fidel. Hang up and we'll see if she can just listen on the radio, and I'll have her answer that question.
Hi, Fidel. As far as the question goes, what you're talking about is trauma. Trauma does affect our mental health. When my clients come in, it's one of the first things that I look at. What type of trauma have you experienced? Everybody, and I do mean everybody, will experience some type of trauma in their lifespan, from the birth to death. We all will experience some type of trauma. There's different types of trauma. For example, there's firsthand trauma. That's when somebody does something to you or in front of you with a specific goal to harm you. I used to see that a lot when I worked in protective services, both children and adults. There's secondhand trauma, where you witness an event or you're exposed to something that is traumatic. An example would be you're sitting on northbound on a street and two cars going east and west have a head-on collision directly in front of you. You could be traumatized from that. And there's a third type of trauma. That's the trauma we caused ourselves. Yes, decision we made that didn't go quite how we expected it to. So we all experience some kind of trauma.
So once they experience the trauma, should they be stuck on that base forever and let it affect all of the other decisions they make? Or is coming to see you or any other counselor a step towards trying to deal with putting that traumatic event behind them and figuring out coping mechanisms so that they can make it through life tomorrow, next week, next year?
Exactly, Terry. I describe it like this. I consider all trauma to be like crap, right? It's heavy, it's smelly, it's hot, it's stinky. Yeah, I explain to my clients like this. When a baby's born, it comes with an invisible backpack. I call it your trauma backpack. When we experience trauma, we're often not in a place where we can look at it, we can process it. So we toss it in this backpack. We keep throwing trauma into that backpack until it becomes so heavy, so smelly, that we cannot move forward. My job as a counselor is to help you unpack that backpack. I say, let's trade it out for a cute little wallet or a crossbody, something more manageable than a heavy backpack full of trauma.
All right, we've got to go to break again. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. I'm going to do what I can to get to as many of your callers when we get back on the other side of the break. But again, we're talking with Sherry Posey. She's a licensed counselor. You can reach her at Rising Phoenix Counseling and Associates. Her number is 313-293-7460. 313-293-7460. We got to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Kickstart your imagination with Audible. Hear celebrity and music memoirs, mysteries, true crime, and more. Audible is the home of storytelling, audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
Attention! Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS? The IRS now offers new relief options for taxpayers affected by COVID-19, but you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499.
WADL gets a facelift and is now My 38 Detroit. Along with a facelift comes new programming. On Mondays at 8 p.m., catch a 2-hour block of Law and Order SVU. Tuesdays, Chicago Fire. Wednesdays, Dateline. More Dateline and Chicago PD on Thursdays and on Fridays. You'll get more Chicago PD to start your weekend. We'll still have some of your favorite shows like Mom, Blackish, and Friends. Just adding more for you to enjoy on My 38.
The Word Network has been broadcasting inspirational messages around the world since the year 2000, and we keep getting bigger and better and more innovative. Seen all around the world, we bring you the best teaching, impartation, singing, and inspiration. If you want original programming, we have that too. The Word Network is your exclusive source for all things inspiration, and we can be found on every device imaginable. If you want to be uplifted and inspired, you need the Word Network.
My 38 is offering a great special that cannot be refused. Are you looking for a great deal on TV advertising? Are you searching for an avenue to get your business name out to the public? With My 38, we are offering a great special with 100 commercial ads for a great price. This offer is for a 30-day ad placement. Please contact Devin C. for more information at 248-357-4566 or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
The 910 AM live stream can now be seen on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, YouTube Red, iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, any Windows phone. Watch us live at 910amsuperstation.com.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. Listen, y'all, the one thing that I'm going to tell you right now is since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, we clearly are not going to be able to cover the entire subject in one quick hour. So I will, after we get off the air, talk to Councilor Posey about maybe setting up some sort of a regular routine for whatever fits into her schedule for her having the ability to call back in and to continue this discussion after today, because we're going to run out of time in about 8 minutes. And so I'm going to get to as many callers as we can today. But y'all trust me, we will pick this subject up again on another morning. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Marcellus. Good morning, Marcellus. How are you?
Good morning. I called in just to respond on our living conditions in Detroit. It's got to be super depressing for children to walk through areas that are so dilapidated. I can't even fathom how children cope with that, man, because you may be living next to a house that's dilapidated. You might be living next door.
I got it, brother. Let me just wrap that, because here's the thing. So I've got to try and knock out a few more of the callers. I agree with you that urban conditions, whether it's in Detroit, whether it's in Chicago, St. Louis, or Philadelphia, there are some things that kids in urban cities are going to see that kids in the suburbs are not going to see. And I pray that we'll get to a point where we recognize those signs of what's normal kid behavior and what's abnormal behavior, and we'll be at a point that folks are confident enough that they say, they'll be able to recognize the signs and say, we need to find counseling for that person. Thanks for calling this morning, brother. Let's go to Thomas. Good morning, Thomas.
Hey, Joanne Rising. You know, the CDC has deemed racism to be a serious health issue that impacts all of your body, mental and physical. And so we didn't already know that, but in New York, the mayor said that he's going to force the mentally ill into treatment. I don't know how he's going to do that. To your guess, can judges get involved in forcing people into treatment?
My guest doesn't need to answer that. I can answer it. If somebody files a petition in the probate court and they're willing to attest, and that is that they know that they've seen that this person is a threat to themselves or others, there's always a way to use. In every county, there's a probate court and there's a procedure for the judge would get involved after he receives some information, where the judge can make not just a recommendation, the judge can order somebody in the treatment, whether that person wants to go into treatment or not. But that's a much larger topic that we can cover in the next few minutes. We'll do a whole show on civil commitments down the road. Thanks for calling this morning, brother. Let's go to James. Good morning, James. How are you?
Fine, Terry. I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit. Mental illness, I think it has to do with, like Fidel said, the times. You know, the world is evolving so fast, and people are not keeping up with the times, and it's causing a problem, you know, mentally for people. It's not that there's something wrong with their mind, it's just something wrong with they're not educated as to the times. The majority of people in the world is evolving so fast until it's like they drunk, you know. I always try to give the good advice as just try to restrain from the habit of becoming angry. You know, if a person could just learn to discipline themselves before they act, a lot of times they will show more intelligence. You know, it's not no intelligence in anger. And most of the time, our people act out of anger. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to respond to that, Sherry, before we wind up running out of time?
Sure. Hi, James. Thanks for calling in. It's more than just that. There are some physiological reasons why people suffer from mental illness. There are environmental and social reasons why people suffer from mental illness. There's, like I said, trauma that causes people to suffer from different types of mental health conditions.
So,
there's no one source.
Real quick, because we now have about almost just under 2 minutes left. Any final thoughts or what you want to tell people or how they can get in touch with you, anything like that before we wrap up?
Sure. Again, I'm Sherry Posey. My agency is Rising Phoenix Counseling Associates. We can be reached at area code 313-293-7460. And our website is risingphoenixcounselingassociates.org or risingphoenixca.org. I also have a Rising Phoenix Counseling Associates Facebook and Instagram pages. The main take for today, Terry, is that I want your listeners to know they are not alone. Help is out here. Just reach out. You don't have to go through these experiences by yourself.
All right. I want to thank you for getting up early this morning and for joining us. We've been talking with Sherry Posey, a counselor from Rising Phoenix Counseling Associates. You can reach her at area code 313-293-7460. 313-293-7460. Thanks. And later on today, Sherry, I'll be in touch with you because it's clearly this hour went by too quick. There's still a bunch of folks that are on hold that we're not going to be able to get to. But I'm out of time this morning, so we're going to have to set up at least one or two other shows for you to come on to talk more about mental health awareness. And since today is May 8th, I'm pretty sure that we can get a couple of more shows in before we get to the end of the month. Does that sound like a good idea to you?
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you. All right, y'all, I'm out of time. Next up is State Representative Jewel Jones Show. Either he or a member of the foundation will be here to bring you information and inspiration from 7 to 9, followed by, because today is Monday morning, Attorney Anthony Adams will be here from 9 to 11 to discuss politics, culture, and the community. Y'all know that tomorrow, Tuesday's show in my slot is a pre-recorded show. The next time you will hear from me live and in person will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings. Apparently, it is sort of warming up a little bit more today. Apparently, we're going to wind up getting a little bit of rain later in the day. Don't let that interrupt your ability to get out and have a great day. You've seen rain later on in the day on a number of occasions. You'll see it again. Just take an umbrella, be prepared, get out, have a great time. I look forward to talking to each and every one of you later in the week. Have a good morning.